Asif Hossain with Dan Dunleavy, Sportsnet play-by-play man. The match on Saturday, Toronto versus Philadelphia on Sportsnet 1 at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, Dan, for all the bad press that Toronto has received for its poor record, Philadelphia is actually right up there, isn't it? It's not too far from Toronto, and last year they had some great success, made a wholesale changes over the offseason, and now finding themselves out of favor with a lot of their fans. What do you make of this team as they come into BMO Field on Saturday?
I think that's what everyone's trying to figure out is what do you make of Philadelphia? Obviously, they're having trouble scoring goals, and they're obviously ahead of Toronto in the standings, but not by a large margin. So they made a lot of changes in the offseason. You're right, they were a good team last year, and we talk about an Eastern Conference leading team and playoff bound, and then you make 14 changes, and head coach Peter Nowak figures that this is the right course for the club, but right now they're just not able to score. And when you trade your captain and now you're trying to search for goals, and for Danny Mwanga, there's a lot of extra weight on his shoulders right now, and he's just not parlaying that into a leadership form of putting the ball in the back of the net. They're struggling right now. So, obviously it's an opportunity for Toronto FC to pick up a win at home and try to get this home field advantage back. I think if we're honest, the home field advantage has gone by the wayside, at least in MLS play a little bit. Just look at the record this year here at BMO Field. But the importance for Toronto is to carry off the success they had against Vancouver. There's no doubt in the Amway Canadian Championship. If they don't build on that this weekend against Philadelphia, then you're almost back to square one again. But the players are feeling good about themselves. A Philadelphia team that's doubting itself comes in here thinking they're going to get a win because Toronto is still winless in MLS. So you might have your opponent right where you want them as well.
And who are a couple of players on Philadelphia that Toronto should be worried about a little bit?
Right now, I don't think there's anyone they should be worried about. I think Toronto should be worried about their own game, and that's no disrespect to Philadelphia, but again, you earn your stripes. And you take a look at a guy like Danny Mwanga. Daniel is a midfielder who will try to get the ball to him and see if they can score. A Dubak in the mix as well potentially could be a bit of a threat for Philly, but I think it's more Toronto worrying about their game, how they attack, and if they defend as a team as they did against Vancouver. And things have to go your way a little bit in how a team plays against you as well. I think Toronto got a little bit of a break with how Vancouver decided to attack or not attack Toronto FC in the Canadian Championship, but that set up well for Toronto. They took advantage of that. So I think TFC's not really worried about anyone on Philadelphia's roster. It's not to say they don't disrespect them, but they're worried more about getting the best out of the players on their own roster.
Okay, so it's Toronto versus Philadelphia, 4:30 p.m. right here at BMO Field on Saturday on Sportsnet 1. Dan, anybody joining you in the booth?
Craig Forrest will be there. He's kind of a well-known soccer guy. He played goal overseas, yeah. So he's a big, tall guy, so I'll look short. But, yeah, he'll be joining us in the booth. And Paul Hendrick will be down on the field. Lee Godfrey as well with Goal TV, and Adrian Serio as well. We'll have our pre- and post-game show.
Sounds like a full team for the broadcast. And on Twitter, use hashtag TFC Live to follow the conversation. Asif Hossain for Dan Dunleavy.
You coming to the game too?
I will be at the game,
Perfect.
yeah.
Okay.
I've been to a few of these. We'll talk to you soon.